Have you ever felt that cold outreach, pitching people in public, trying to generate sales by sending messages to random strangers and things like that uh, just don't work for you? Well, then there's a good chance that you might just be a human design projector. And in this episode, we're going to talk about how to market yourself as a projector and the art of invitation. So stick around.
Welcome to Authentic Influence with host Anthony Chansamuth, the show where we get real and share the stories and struggles, strategies and tactics of successful influencers and entrepreneurs so that you too can take action to create the life and business that you choose. And now over to Anthony.
Welcome back. So today we are talking about how do you market and sell your services as a projector. Well, you don't do it by screaming like a motorbike, that's for sure. So this is about human design, and if you're new to this concept, then I encourage you to go and Google it or go to YouTube and look up human design and look up what that's all about. I'll give you a bit of context just for the newbies, and and let me just bring this up here and let's talk a bit about it. Okay, so human design is really the synthesis of 5 systems. There's Western astrology, the Chinese I Ching, Indian chakras, the Judaic Kabbalah, and quantum science. Right? The story goes that a gentleman by the name of Alan Krakauer, I think that's how you say it, essentially was a Canadian, or he was born in Montreal in Canada in 1948 and spent his early years there. In 1983, he left Canada to travel, eventually finding his way to the island of Ibiza in Spain, where he spent years working as a school teacher. In January of 1987, he had an unusual mystical experience followed by an encounter with a voice, an intelligence far superior to anything he had ever experienced. This encounter lasted for 8 days and nights, during which he received a transmission of information, what is known today as the human design system. In 1989, after his encounter with a voice, his name, he took the name Ra Uru Hu, and then spent the next 25 years or so of his life developing and teaching the system around the world. Now, let me just add here that the system has some criticism, like any system. Some folks believe it's pseudoscience, that it's not grounded in any real scientific data, and there's some of it, people might even think it's a scam. All right, so I'll just put that out there. I'm going to leave it to you to decide what you think it is. What I will tell you, that regardless of whether or not you believe it to be true or false, that what I'm going to share now in terms of how to actually market yourself and promote your services as a projector is still useful. Okay, and I want you to take from this conversation whatever is relevant and useful for you. Okay, what I can tell you is, in the last 5 or plus years that I've bounced back and forth between this concept of human design, and I took a quiz which you can do online for free, which is called the Human Design Chart. You can Google free Human Design Chart, and all you need to do is input your date of birth, the time that you were born, and I think that's probably one or two other data points, and then it will give you your chart, and from there you will then identify as one of the 5 human design profiles. Okay, so there are actually each human design profile is unique and has a specific set of challenges that needs to be addressed in order for them to live true to their design purpose. The design type, the 5 types are the manifestor, the generator, the manifesting generator, the projector, and the reflector. I'm not going to give a description of those. I think the best thing to do, I'll leave a link in the show notes to go. You can go and research those. I actually suggest that you do the quiz and see which one it comes up with for you, and then you can investigate and explore further. All right. For me, the result that I came back with is projector. Okay, so I'm just going to bring up my chart. So I've got it here, and it says that I am my inner authority is splenic, and then my profile is a 1 3 1 yeah uh, 1 3 projector. And we're just going to leave it at that. Okay, so let's move into a bit more about how do you actually, if you identify as a projector, how do you market yourself? How do you actually share with the world what you do? And there's an important concept here in human design, which is that specifically for projectors, that they have to, it's important for them as part of their human design strategy. And a strategy is basically a way to live your life, right? And the idea here for human design, or for projectors, is that the strategy, it's important to understand, is that we need to actually be recognized for what we offer for ourselves, and that we need to be invited to actually do that, right? So there's a concept here, or an idea that suggests that if you are a projector, that you need to wait for an invitation. Okay, and so how does this relate to marketing and to sales? Essentially, the struggle that many projectors, or those who identify as projectors, have, is that when they try to sell their products or services in a way that is commonly taught or trained, by sales coaches and sales organizations, that typically it just isn't in alignment with their strategy, right? So it doesn't. Oftentimes it doesn't work out, and I've experienced this myself. Like I'm someone that actually did sales training. I actually spent a year learning how to do door-to-door sales, and I walked the streets of Toronto in Canada during the winter, so it's minus 20 degrees most days. It's snowing, and I'm out there like knocking on doors, essentially trying to sell a product to small businesses. And I gotta say that was a tough experience. It was tough, and at the same time, I also learned a lot about how to sell through education, and through really getting to know uh, the other person, right? And this is something that there's in a previous episode, I talk about education-based selling, and that's something that's, for me, has worked tremendously in the last 7 or 8 years that I've been in business for myself. So that's something that's really critical for the projector. Right now, this whole concept of waiting for an invitation really frustrated me, and not just me. I'm in groups and forums, and I'm reading about how other projectors have been dealing with this idea that we have to wait for an invitation. And what I've come to learn is that that doesn't mean that we sit around twiddling our thumbs and just hope that someone's gonna come knocking at our door or send us an email saying, hey, like, I'm inviting you to sell me a service. Okay, it doesn't typically work that way. We tend to be more, projectors are more entrepreneurial. So we don't want to sit around. We actually want to make change in the world. We actually want to get out there, inspire, influence, and do good work, right? Be creative. And another key, I guess, definition or a category, a trait of a projector, is that our role here on this planet is to be the guide, right? So people often come to us for advice, for direction, and so we end up in roles that allow us to do that, like the project manager, which is something that I've been doing for most of my career. Running teams, leading teams, being the coach, the consultant, the advisor, the mentor, the teacher, right? So if you're listening to this and you're going, yes, I do those things and that's natural to me, and if I look at my career, these are the roles that I'm typically finding myself in. And anytime that you try and do roles outside of that, like I remember my first job was working at McDonald's, serving, selling, not serving, doing service type work. I didn't last long, let's put it that way. And there's been many situations like that. So coming back to, okay, why does a projector need to wait for an invitation? Essentially, the invitation may come in the form of a person, an opportunity or event, even a problem. The projector sees that they have something to offer and waits for the invite before actively stepping into it. So how do you know when your time has come? When are you ready to step up? You'll recognize this by being engaged with what's happening around you. And the key here is you can't be invited if you're not present to the moment. And and you're constantly asking yourself, do I want more? And if so, then you really need to open up to inspiration and possibility, right? The art of invitation is in recognizing the potential for greatness and how that can be used to help others. Now, there's another concept here which sort of connects to this idea of an invitation, which is self-projected authority. And that's really all about knowing who you are as an individual and projecting this into your work, which will then generate recognition for yourself or your business. Okay, so now let's talk about things, 10 practical ways to become a self-projected authority. Let's start there, and then we'll get into the 10 steps to getting recognized and invited as a projector, right? So let's talk about the ways that you can really self-project authority, right? So one thing, let's go one, right? So first thing you can do is find a topic that interests you and become an expert in it. Okay, so just follow your curiosity. What is it that is you find yourself reading online or watching YouTube videos on, or reading books in the library about, or getting into conversations about naturally that just draws you, and follow that, right? And typically, if you're a projector, you're going to do that anyway, and you're just going to be almost obsessed with a specific topic, and you get down like deep into the rabbit holes with it, right? Number two, you can speak at conferences or events about your topic of interest. Okay, so get out there and teach what you're learning. Yeah. Number three is you can create a blog. This is something that I started in 2009 with my first ever blog, and that's to share your knowledge with others. Right. So you're sharing what you're learning. You're just processing your thoughts, and you're putting it out there for others to learn from you. Okay. Number four, so you can start teaching classes on the subject of your choice. All right. So now you can see everything is around learning, researching, and then sharing your thoughts and insights on what you've learned and teaching those concepts to others. Yeah. We're really naturally good or even developed at taking complex concepts and then simplifying those and imparting those to other people. You can, number six here, you can give presentations about what you know best, right? Like I started with my first business with my business partner. We literally just booked a cafe, and then we put up an Eventbrite, I believe, and we invited people to come and join us. And we had two people, or one person we knew and the other person we didn't know. They came along and we just spoke to them for an hour and said, give us feedback. Was it any good? And we teach, what we were doing. Okay. So that's giving presentations. Number seven is you can become a consultant for other people who want help with their projects. Number eight, you can record yourself teaching, and you can do that on YouTube or any of these channels, TikTok, whatever platform works for you, and share that, share that with people, online. Okay. Number nine is you can show off this is for the projectors who are listening who are more creative artists. Right, if you're doing things, this could really work. You could project your work onto a wall or screen that's visible from outside, right? So people who walk past and they can see your artwork or whatever it may be. Of course, I'm not encouraging vandalism here, but if you have the opportunity to display your art in that format, that's a really powerful way to do it. Okay. And then number 10, you can share photos or videos of yourself doing something cool on Instagram or whatever social platform that's out there, or in groups or communities. Okay. And this will naturally make viewers look at that and say, hey, I want to do that too. And that's because your self-projection is contagious. Okay. And it draws people to you. So they're 10 different ways to become a self-projected authority, and I'm sure there are more. I just to put together a quick list that I wanted to talk about. And now, okay, how do you market your services, right? So some of those things I already shared are ways to market and promote what you do. Now here's 10 steps, I guess, to getting recognized and invited. Number one is make a list of your accomplishments. Okay. So get clear on what results you've been able to accomplish over your career. What experiments have you done? What what are some milestones in whatever industry or topic or whatever it is that you've been exploring? Okay, what are the things that you've been able to achieve, right, in as you've learnt and grown? Okay. And once you've done that, you can then move to step 2, which is to keep an updated resume or a CV or a portfolio, something like that, that's online, which then leads to step number 3, which is to create and maintain a LinkedIn profile. Okay, so if in terms of your professional history, you can certainly use LinkedIn as a good way to display that. Number 4 is to then participate in online communities. So I'm talking about Facebook groups, forums, and these can be free, these can be paid. I found for me, a combination of both has worked, right? So I am part of some free groups, but I'm also part of some paid communities, and investing in those. And those have provided opportunities for me, right? So number 5 is to related to communities. You can join professional organizations, and you can attend events related to your field of work or interest. I would encourage you to really be strategic about those events, and how you utilize networking, and how do you for us, it's not about volume. It's not about going there and getting 100 business cards, but it's more around, okay, how do I connect with the leaders, people who are perhaps the event organizers or the people who are speaking on the stage, and building those type of relationships. Okay, that's number 5. Number 6 here is to take on leadership roles within organizations and events. Okay, so something that worked for me was actually volunteering. I actually volunteered with a someone who was building quite a brand, as a business coach here in Australia. He had come over from the US, and so I volunteered for 2 years. I actually was part of his crew, and would then go and support his events. And through that association, I was then given or invited to be part of different opportunities, and that led to clients and business and things like that. So that was really helpful. So that's taking on leadership roles. Number 7 is to volunteer. Basically what I just said there. So you could volunteer for committees that align with your interests or skill set. Number 8. Now this is where we're stepping into becoming the speaker, right, and the educator. So you can then offer to speak at these events, speak at conferences about topics you are passionate about. Recently, I've been invited to speak on virtual summits, and on podcasts, and also to contribute and write on blogs for people, or for organizations. So that's a nice way to, again, demonstrate value, and to share what you've done and what you can do for other people, right? Number 9 here is to be proactive by sending emails out to people you want to collaborate with or network with. Okay, don't be afraid to ask, hey, what's happening, what's going on, what are you working on. And the focus here is on them. The focus is on what are they doing and where do they need support, right? And I found that typically works much better than, hey, look at me, look at me, look at me. This is what I'm doing. I do have a newsletter that I send out on a weekly basis. And I've also got this podcast that you're listening to right now. um, uh, Podcasting is another one that's going to be the number 10 here, is to have some kind of platform that you're building for yourself. And that's something that where you have control over the the publishing schedule, the ideas that you're putting out, whether it's the written word or the audio or the video, right? Whatever it may be, pick a platform, and really commit to consistently educating and informing, and just sharing what you know. Teach what you know is a good mantra, I suppose, to follow. And this is, because that's something that you can control. Then you also control the message, and you control the distribution, right? And people can by putting stuff out like that on a consistent basis, then the other people can, your audience can have a choice to follow you or not, right? And they will signal to you whether they want to be a part of what you're doing. Okay. And so there are the 10 steps. I'm going to just repeat that. Make a list of your accomplishments. Number 2, keep an updated resume. Number 3, create and maintain a LinkedIn profile. Number 4, participate in online communities. Number 5, join professional organizations and attend events. Number 6, take on leadership roles within organizations and events. Number 7, volunteer for committees, or even boards, if that's something you want to get into. Number 8 is to offer to speak at conferences and summits and events like that about what about topics that you're passionate about. And number 9, be proactive by sending emails out to people you want to collaborate with and network with. Number 10 is to build your platform, and that's a really important part of getting recognized, is to have your own platform. You can definitely leverage other people's platforms, and something that's worked really well for me is to focus on, last year, a lot of guest podcasting. I appeared on 12 podcasts as the guest, and that really helped to then, that led to new clients, that actually led to some of those podcast hosts, after we recorded a 60-minute interview, them turning around and saying, hey, I now that I understand what you do, I'd like to hire you, right, to do that for me. And that's been a really good thing. Speaking gigs has really been great for me as well. Whenever I speak, typically, and I'm teaching a topic, and I'm really focused on just delivering value, that has led to people coming up to me at the end of the talk and saying, hey, like, I want to learn more, right? And that's really the best way that I've actually grown my email list, is to speak on other people's platforms. Okay, so have a think about all these things, and write down 2 or 3 different ways of getting recognized that resonate with you, and that's it. Set your schedule, and then focus on being consistent in doing that. Okay, so that's how to market yourself and sell your services as a human design projector. I'd love to hear about what you're doing, what's been working for you. I want to share, sort of wrap up this episode with a quote from another projector who's got a really great YouTube channel. Her name is Devon Martin, and she's I guess a projector coaching other projectors. And something that she said which resonated with me is to move in the direction that makes you feel alive and connected with yourself. Right, makes you feel that you can like or love who you are when you're doing or being or guiding with whatever you're doing, and just experiment with the subtleties of what that is, because this is a really magnificent authority, and it's rare, and there's not many people who are going to be able to pave the path for you if you're a self-projector. There's not many people who are going to fundamentally understand your trip. So it's your responsibility to be a leader in your life and for you to make it your trip. That's Devin Martin. All right. So with that, thank you again for listening to this episode. And if you have any questions, please ping me on social media or submit a question through anchor.fm/authentic influence. And I look forward to hearing from you, and we'll catch you on the next episode. See you soon. Now, just quickly, if you want to check out the show notes for this episode, just head over to simplecreativemarketing.com/podcast, and you can grab all the links and things and resources on there. And also, if you are a conscious entrepreneur, got a professional services business, working B2B, and you've got an interest in building influence and income through showing up, serving others, and being real, then I invite you to join my Authentic Influence Warriors Facebook group. If you want to do that, just head over to simplecreativemaarketing.com/community. Okay, thanks for joining in, and I'll see you on the next episode.
Thanks for listening to the Authentic Influence podcast at AuthenticInfluence.co.